Yeah, I did. I don't know if I can actually talk about that because I think I did sign an NDA, but fine. Is this boring?
No.
Are you sure? I was just
No.
like, I could talk about this for ages. I'm obsessed with this show. So tell me to shut up.
No.
Okay, great.
So remind us again of the name of the show that's currently running and where can you go and watch it?
So it's called Two Strangers Karaoke Cake. Oh, I messed it up. Oh.
McKeown.
McKeown.
Oh, fuck it, I'm going to fuck this up.
McKeown. My own, your own. McKeown.
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 Kate, we are now Kate McKeown.
McKeown.
It's fine. It'll be funny if you pronounce it wrong.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Jill Spills, where this week we are going to be spilling the tea on all things about theatre. And who better to join me than my wonderful friend, Kate McKeown. Have I said your surname right?
You said it wrong. I love that. Just before we came on and you were like, okay, I'm going to practice your name. And what did you do?
Get it
Messed
wrong.
Honestly,
What is your
everyone does it.
surname?
My actual surname is McKeown. Like my own, your own. Like how long do we know each other, Jill?
Yeah.
It must be about 3-4 years.
About 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Still can't pronounce my name.
Sorry.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm Irish. It's a whole, I am so used to it. I don't think there's a day goes by where if I'm on the phone or anyone's like, hey, and I'm trying to book a reservation, trying to pronounce my second name, and I don't even bother saying my second name anymore. It just is Kate McKeown. No one knows how to do it. But anyway, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. Thank you so much for being on the couch today. So today we're going to talk about theatre and what goes on behind and how to get involved and something that you're very much your passion since I've known you. It's what you've been involved in. So talk to us about how it all first started for you. How did you get involved and why did you want to get into theatre?
Oh, the origin story. How far are we going back, Jill? Well, I suppose I started singing in mass, like in church, Irish, we all go to mass, and I got like my first solo, and I feel like when you get your first solo and you get to go up and stand up on that altar, even if you're not holy, it's like your first ever stage moment. I will never forget it. I was living my best life, and then after that I got on the harmony group, so I got to sing the harmonies for all of the songs. Again, delighted. And then from then on, I just think I got the bug. I got the bug for performing first. And in Ireland, I grew up in Dublin, and there's a huge amateur dramatic scene in Ireland. So growing up, I was doing like loads of different like stage coachy things learning like different classes, and I was always the kid who would have to say, sorry, I can't go to that a social event because I was off doing something else, which was great. So I did singing, dancing, you name it, I was there. Tap dancing, my favorite thing, Irish dancing, just anything. I just loved it, and it was so fun. And I feel like when you're younger and you're in a group of a team start all working together to put on a show, or working together to learn a dance, or working together to do a play, you just learn these really important skills that you don't learn in school. And so I loved it, did it all through school, and then there was not really that many places to study it when I was coming out of school. So to go to university, I would have to kind of go abroad if I wanted to study musical theatre or study theatre, anything, because there just wasn't really the demand for it, and it just wasn't really a thing. You could study straight acting, so like if you just wanted to be an actor in films or in plays, but you couldn't really study musical theatre. I think there might have been one place back when I was in school, but now there's so many more. So it's so much better now, but back then you couldn't. And so I was not prepared to move from Ireland yet. So I decided to do a business management degree and did 4 years learning that. And then throughout the 4 years, I was teaching singing. So I had my own little business school teaching singing. And then...
Did you?
Yeah.
I actually don't think I knew that.
Did you not?
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that kind of got
what
me
age
through
group?
school. So it was from around like 6 or 7 until about 14, 15. And the kids would come to my house. I would teach them singing, put them through their exams. So I did that for a couple of years, and it was great because it was like my job. So a lot of people going through uni or whatever have to kind of work at a Tesco or work wherever just to pay the bills. And I was so lucky to be able to have the skills to teach, because one of my singing teachers, she left to go to America, my original singing teacher, piano teacher, Karen, shout out, she's amazing, Karen Blandy. And so she gave me a load of her students. She kind of passed them down. So I did that. And then I also did like any musical under the sun, drama wise, uni, where I did it. I was going from show to show to show. It was wild, but it was so much fun. And I was known as the girl who would just cycle everywhere. So I would cycle from one rehearsal to the next rehearsal to the next rehearsal, and then do like shows back to back because I just loved it. It was so much fun. So anyway, I did that. And then after I graduated my business degree, well, before I even graduated, so in my final year, I decided that I didn't want to do business and I wanted to go and do musical theatre. So I spent my whole final year auditioning for drama schools over in the UK, which to my tutor's disgust, was just never really around. So everyone was writing their dissertation and I was just like, I'm going away again, like bye, like with my suitcase. And eventually I got into a drama school. I got in to go and do my master's in Wales. So finally wrote my dissertation because I had to graduate. I wrote it in like a month. It was so bad. Like looking back, I don't even know how I passed that degree. I have no idea. But yeah, so I did that, and then I moved then when I was 23, I think, to Wales. So
how did you feel about that? How did it feel like moving away from where you grew up? And how did mum and dad feel?
It was so big. It was such a huge thing because I was kind of one of the only people to do it as well. Like there was a couple of people that I had known that had moved like across to do this, but not that many. So I was kind of jumping into the unknown, going to Cardiff, a place I'd never been before, and prior to that I'd been living at home the whole time. So yeah, it was like terrifying, but I was so excited. I was so lucky to be given a scholarship to go over there, so I didn't have to pay for my fees, so I could actually afford to do it. And people helped me out, and I kind of got a load of people to kind of help me to pay for living there, so I could just go and spend an entire year just completely immersing myself in musical theatre.
So you've left home, Dublin. You're on your own. You don't know anybody as you're going to Cardiff.
I didn't know anyone. No, I didn't. And then I think, so we started in September. I think I might have heard this is great. So I went to Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. Shout out, they're amazing. And they have this really cool scheme that if you are coming from a place that you don't know anyone, you can decide to find a place to live with other people from the university. So they like pair you up with people that they think that you might like or you might get on with. So they did that for me. So they paired me up with 4 of the girls, and one of the girls that they paired me up with happened to be on my course, but also Irish, and also like just the most amazing person ever. So I messaged her once I heard that we'd been paired up in this house, being like, oh, I didn't even know you were going, and I'm Irish as well, and now we can live together, and it was great. So having her there and knowing that we were going to move in together, knowing that she had come from similar backgrounds as me and from the same area, that was way better, and I knew I was going to be comfortable, and she was great. So once we met and we moved in together, it was absolutely perfect. It was a dream come true, honestly, dream come true.
And she'd come from Ireland on her own, for the same reasons as you did as well. But
to study.
Do you still know her?
Yeah. I went to her wedding. She's amazing. She is still performing. She's actually over in America right now performing. She's great. She actually was like on Riverdance for years, and she's one of those incredible people that is so talented. She won't mind me saying, but yeah, her name's Emma Warren, and if you haven't heard her sing, she's beautiful, and she's just a great person, and we're still really good friends.
That is pretty cool.
It was a dream come true.
So you're in Cardiff. So how long are you in Cardiff now? How many for 1 year?
1 year, and not even. It was like from September through to the July. So it was just so quick. It was so intense, but it was unreal. Like I just got to sing and dance all day. What a dream. Like who gets to do that? And I just loved it so much. I got to learn so much. I got to do loads of random stuff. Like I performed for Shirley Bassey. I sang Goldfinger to Shirley Bassey, which was wild. Yeah, so I was like, I wore this beautiful dress, and then I got up on stage, and she was in the audience, and I just sang the song, and she was just there. And after I got to meet her, and like really, yeah. And Matt, did you not know that?
No.
Another fun fact. Yeah, it was wild. It was wild, but it was so good.
Did you get to meet her? Like you got to meet her?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you
And
spoke to her?
yeah, she said like she liked my rendition or whatever. But yeah.
What a moment.
Yeah, actually, that same day, I was supposed to go and graduate from my business degree, but I couldn't do the graduation ceremony because I was like, sorry, I'm actually singing for Shirley Bassey that day. And they were just like, of course you are.
Why wouldn't you be?
Bye, yeah. So I never got my little scroll thing from there, but I don't really care, whatever. But yeah, so that's where I got up to. That's all my training. And then I finished and was like, right, okay, I'm going to go be a star. And then I moved to London, and I've been here since.
So you moved to London from Cardiff.
Yep.
What was the plan?
Go be a star. Like, go be on the West End. I just wanted, like, everything. But to be fair, I think I was a little bit more level-headed. I'm lucky that because I went into uni a little bit older, so I was like 23. I wasn't the kind of 18-year-old going into school, like going to college and then coming out when you're 21 being like, oh, I'm going to be the best. Like, I was a little bit more level-headed. But, you always have that dream, don't you?
Yeah.
And, yeah, so I moved to London and then got an agent and was auditioning, and like so many funny stories about
what were you auditioning for? Where were you going? Like what was your
what were they? What was the funny story? So funny story. Auditioned for Mamma Mia. And I auditioned for loads, but this is funny. So I auditioned for Mamma Mia, and I was a singer, I was a mover. Like, I wasn't a dancer. No. Like, I couldn't do the splits. I could probably do one or two pirouettes, right? So they're like, hey, like, we want you for Mamma Mia on the West End, and you have to come in. And I was like, great, but I'm not a dancer, because it's quite a dancey show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but
I have, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So I went in, and usually at these first auditions, you just sing a song and read a couple of sides, which are like basically a bit of script. Yeah. So I went in and did that, went well. Grant, happy days, tick. And they're like, cool, come back for round 2. Great. Round 2 was supposed to be a movement call. And instead of a movement call, there's like 30 girls, like all in like leotards, like looking gorgeous. And I turned up in like my normal, like just pennies trackies. And I'm like, and then so they start doing this dance, but it wasn't like, I'm used to kind of learning a dance. The lady does it in front of you, or the man or whoever does it in front of you, and then you kind of learn it from there. Yeah. Great. This person was like, okay, so we're going to do double pirouettes, we're going to do backflips, we're going to do all this layouts. So it's like 3 double flip, blah, 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 blah. And suddenly my life just flashed before my eyes, and I'm like, I am not supposed to be here. This is the worst thing I've ever done. And it was probably one of my really low moments where I was just at the back, just like this lone fish, like all of my lone wolf, just on my own, just standing there like a flappy kind of. It was so bad. And I don't think I'll ever get over it. It was so embarrassing. So obviously then I was like, you don't even need to say that I'm cut. Like I'm leaving. Like I'm out. Like it's fine.
Really?
Yeah. And then I just never went back to that place until I did go back to that studio a couple of weeks ago and was like, I am triggered. I remember this space.
Did he bring it all back?
All back, yeah. So that's a funny story. That was Mamma Mia. And then, yeah, I did like a load of stuff. It was great. It was so fun. And I was really lucky to come straight out and basically by Christmas, by November, I'd gone into my first professional job. So that was over in Switzerland, which was great. Switzerland, I don't know, how do you say it in England?
Switzerland.
Switzerland, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm classic in saying Poland as well.
So, yeah, okay.
So let's be honest.
Yeah.
That sounded normal to me.
Yeah, okay, fine. Great. People probably slag me about that. But anyway, so then went over, did my first job, Switzerland, lived my best life, was amazing.
Doing what?
It was not the night before, the Scrooge Christmas Carol.
Oh.
Yeah, Christmas Carol was my first ever professional gig. Was it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, so sweet. And I played like 5 million characters, and I was running around like a headless chicken. But it was great. It was so great. And I met loads of great people. And one of my pals who played Scrooge, his name's Dudley, and he is now 79. Shout out, 80 next year. And me and him are now still really, really, really good friends. And we always see each other. We go to the theatre together. And yeah, he's amazing. So I feel like you always just meet great people working in theatre. And I was really lucky to not have a huge space between graduating and having my first job, because it's such a difficult job and industry to be in, and it's quite cutthroat, and it was hard, but I was lucky. And then I came back and then kind of kept working. I mean, I was really lucky. I kind of found my niche. I started working in a lot of family theatre, so theatre for younger audiences, and I kind of got really good at puppetry, so like managing different puppets, and so then kind of started doing a load of different shows with that, and then I toured all around the UK, toured like all around Malaysia and Dubai, and went travelling and just did loads of shows, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
So you doing it obviously sounds the most amazing journey, but then obviously it does have, as you say, that other side to it. So,
Yeah.
you know, the audition after audition, I mean, you know, how many auditions could you be looking at and just be constantly no, no, no? And how does that affect you mentally moving forward?
Yeah, I think you have to be really resilient. It's really tough. There is a huge amount of no's that you get. And the worst thing is that a lot of them you don't even get a no. You just hear silence. And that's the worst, because you're constantly kind of living in this hope of, oh, maybe I'll get it. And then you find out that you didn't get the job through a press release or through an announcement online that they've announced the cast and you're not in it. And it's heartbreaking. And it's really a job that you have to be willing to go into. You have to be willing to know that and not take it personally. I think for me, I definitely found it tricky at the beginning when I wasn't getting where I thought I was going to be. But then I also think there is like this really nice thing of being realistic as well, and not like optimistic realistic, where once I have always been that kind of person that once I am happy to get out of my bed and go to work every day, I'm thrilled. Whereas I think a lot of people in this industry are so ambitious, which is a great thing. You have to have ambition. But for me, I was just really, really happy where I was. But there's low days. And I think for me, I had other things going on. So I always say to people, if you're going to do acting, make sure that you're in a job when you're not acting, that you are happy that you are going to be sad to leave if you get an acting job. So
Right.
I was lucky enough to work with loads of families doing nannying, or I was working as like a nursery school teacher for a while. I had so many random jobs, working in different schools as a TA, or working with different children or working with different people, and doing that on the side.
Yeah.
And loving that so much that I wasn't desperately every single day looking for the next acting job, because I wanted to get out of this horrible job that I was currently in. So if you can, that would be my only thing, that if I was lucky to kind of realize that quite early on, that I had to find something that I loved on the side, because it's not sustainable to constantly be in a show, to constantly work as an actor back to back, unless you're like, I don't even know who you would be. Andrew Scott maybe, or some massive film artist or actor. Even the biggest actors, Ian McKellen, they'll still have a quiet period, and that's just the way it is. And you have to be okay with that, and knowing and just managing your expectations. But I was okay with it. I definitely found it tricky a little bit, but then I also would say that I found the gym and my physical activity, that was the thing that got me through, because that was like my mental health thing, where I could just go and sweat it all out and then I'd be fine.
Yeah. I mean, again, we go touch very lightly on the fitness does help with mental, mental health.
Absolutely.
And, yes, you did used to train a lot there as well.
Yeah.
And in just a little bit, we'll move on a bit more to, some exciting things again. But also, I would imagine that it can also be cutthroat with friendships. Like, it sounds like you were, I don't know, you were quite lucky with the groups that you found. But I imagine sometimes as well, that could be quite hard if you didn't get something and that person did, or people don't talk to you because you got something. I mean, I guess it does go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Did you ever experience that?
I think it comes from your training. And I was lucky enough to be in a class of 12. And we were picked really specifically that we were never in competition with anybody because we all looked different. We sounded different. We'd be playing different characters.
Right.
And we were all really, really different. So being in my training of learning how to be in the industry, or to act and to be in a space with all these different people, I was never looking at anyone else. I was always just focusing on myself because it wasn't a thing, because I couldn't have been like, oh, they're like me because they look like me and they play my same character. We didn't look alike. None of us were the same. So I just never had to compare myself. And so I took that going forward, that I was never in competition with anyone. And in my life, I'm never looking at anyone else being like, oh, I wish I was you, because we're all so different. And I'm actually like the opposite. Like, I love cheering people on.
You do.
And I'm very much of a, oh, if you've done that, I'm so happy for you moment. So like, yeah, I suppose maybe there was a moment where it could have gone that way with me and Emma, this Irish girl who we were both in the same course, and then we were both from the same place, and then we both moved to London together, we lived together, and Emma like was doing so well. Like, she got into Les Mis, and she got in, like, she was flying around the place. And I suppose there could have been a moment where I was like, oh, I'm jealous, but like, there never was. It's so weird. I'm so lucky to be able to say that, because I know, like, most people, yes, they would be probably having those moments of like self-doubt or whatever, but I think I'm lucky again that my family, and they've always kind of reared me up to just being, you just have to focus on yourself and be really happy for others. And I think that's me. But I do think in this industry it can be very, very easy to compare yourself to others, especially because if you are, say, a dancer who is 5'6" and who sings and has legs that can kick up by their ears, you are competing with a huge amount of people, a huge amount. And now with drama schools and everything, there's so many people coming into this industry every single year, and everyone's going to be younger than you. And if you do start looking around and comparing yourself, like, it's just dreadful. It's dreadful, but it happens. It definitely happens a lot.
I think that's a good trait for you to have that kind of outlook, because as you say, you probably wouldn't have got through half the stuff that you got through.
No. Yeah, definitely not. It's just about believing in yourself as well, and like just knowing who you are as a person. Again, I think I benefited from going into this industry a little bit older. I benefited because I already knew who I was ish. I mean, no one knows who they are, right? But like, going in when you're 23 is so different to going in when you're 18.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you've done all the little jobs in between and going in and out. And then you started moving into more of theatre, more so work-wise, didn't you?
Yeah, so, basically COVID hit.
Oh, okay.
Classic COVID, that little C word. But yeah, COVID hit, and I was on tour. I was in Ireland, and just happened to be in Ireland on tour, like complete luck. And so went home, and then obviously couldn't act, and I couldn't fly back here. I had my flat here, so I needed to make money. So I decided to get a job working in a lab, because I was smart and have a business degree, but it's actually a science degree. So I could go, and I worked in the lab for COVID for a couple of months. And then at the time, just as COVID was hitting, myself and my like really, really good friend, we just before it kind of all went to lockdown, we said, oh, wouldn't it be really fun to do a radio station at the moment, because that would be jokes and we're not doing anything else, and I'm waiting on a flight so I can go back to London. And so we were like, yeah, let's do it. So in 3 days, we decided to set up a radio station. Thinking back, this is so wild. I haven't actually talked about this in ages. But yeah, we decided to set up a radio station called Quarantine FM. And within the week, so we did it in 3 days. We set the whole thing up in 3 days, and then we went live on Monday. We had like branding. We had we were going from 9 until 9. And the idea at the beginning was that people would come into my friend's back garden and enter the house through there, and then we would clean and sanitize the room. So each presenter would come in, sanitize the room, leave, come in, sanitize the room, leave. And we're lucky that my friend works in radio, so she had loads of people around and they really wanted to do it, and it was great. So we set it up on the Monday, we went live on the Monday, and me and my friend did a load of stuff together, and it was great. We had all these people on, it was amazing. And then on the Thursday night, I think it was, maybe it was the Friday, the lockdown came in. So there was the announcement on the radio where we were like, okay, you must stay at home now. And so we decided to change it up. On the Saturday and Sunday, we organised it all to be virtual. So we then decided to do the radio station, and people would record it all, pre-record it, send it. My friend would literally sit on this computer all day, every day, and press go and watch the feed. And we did that for like really intensely for about 4 months, 3 to 4 months. And we had about 50 people working for us, volunteering. It was wild. At the same time, I was working in a theater, I was working in the lab. Yeah. So basically, long story short, it was wild. And so after that, I was like, oh, maybe I'm really good at organizing. Maybe that's what I'm really good at. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I loved interviewing people, but I also loved just chatting, and I loved managing everyone and making sure everyone was okay and lifting people up and getting teams together and groups together. We had like a marketing team, we had like a press team, we had a digital team. It was wild, but that's what I was really good at. And then I was kind of thinking about, yeah, okay, what next? Like, if I can't do acting, and actually if I can do acting but also do something else, what would that be? And then I kind of started thinking about what else can I get involved with other than acting, because obviously COVID had hit and there was no work, there was nothing going on. And so I moved back to London and I kept going with the radio stuff. We ran the radio station for a year. And I came back to London and I was doing that, and I was doing a load of other radio stuff and like other jobs. And then kind of quickly after that realised that this is definitely the route I want to go down, more of an organising, but I still loved theatre, so I wanted to try and find a way of combining both and just trying to see how I could kind of organise a load of things but still stay in theatre. And then an opportunity came up to work in an organisation, well, 2 organisations that basically support new musicals, so new writing, so things that haven't even been made yet, but we support them, support writers, and then I just applied for it. So because I had my business degree, it was easier for me to kind of back myself when I was going in for this job, and the job was technically membership manager, and it was for 2 different organizations. So one organization was a membership organization for writers, composers, lyricists of new musicals, and the other one is a membership organization for producers, higher educations, venues, directors, people who are involved in the landscape of new musicals. And basically the Arts Council funds them both together, and they hire this one job who works for both organizations. It's kind of complicated, but anyway, sounded like my bag. Applied, did my interview and everything, and got it. And so suddenly I'm like, oh my God, I've got a salaried job. I'm going from working 5 million different jobs to now working one. It was a 9 to 5 kind of thing. We had an office, like we had a computer, and it was like this whole other thing to me. It was wild. But I was really excited about it, and I think it's what I wanted. I was kind of a little bit sick of putting my faith and putting all my whole... It felt like I was putting my whole life into other people's control. Okay. Because if you're an actor, you are literally... You're going into these auditions, and you can absolutely do everything you possibly can to get it. I always say you can be in control of the controllables. But actually, getting the job and getting money and getting hired, it's due to somebody else, and you have to do it all the time. So it's just insane when you actually think about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need a bit more control. I'm a bit of a control freak. You'll all know. I'm a bit of a control freak. So then got the job, started, and was like, yes, this is the bag. Like, this is the vibe. I want to be in musicals. I love musicals, and I love new writing. It's always been the kind of thing that really excites me, because living in Ireland when I was growing up, I didn't even know like new musicals could kind of exist, because I'd just spent my life like looking at Oklahoma and South Pacific and The Sound of Music and things that just because there's not much of a scene there was never anything new coming up. It was just everyone just doing the old stuff. So then I came here and it was like, oh, there's new stuff happening. Wow, amazing. People are writing new musicals. Wow. So then I started working there, and I have now been there for 2 and a bit years. And then I was kind of getting, I was like, what's next? We always have that, don't we?
Yes.
You just get I'm a little bit impatient, and I always love to feel like I'm growing as a person. I love to feel like I'm learning new skills, and I kind of got to a place where I felt like I was really good at my job, but I wanted to learn more. And so I started putting some feelers out, and I don't know how this will sound, but yeah, I started putting some feelers out and was kind of like, look, I didn't know what I wanted to do, because the industry is so big and so vast, and because I've only seen really the acting side, and now I have this lovely working with writers and performers and also venues and directors. I have this really nice overall kind of view of the landscape. Excuse me. But then I wanted to get more my teeth into the work more. So anyway, actually lately this has all happened quite quickly, but now that then I got a colleague of mine is working on a brand new musical that is now opened on the West End. And he was like, do you want to come work for me? And I was like, yes, please. That would be great. And so now I'm working with him 2 days a week, working with that production company 2 days a week. And then I'm working with my not normal job, but my job that I've been doing for the 2 years, the other half of the week. Yeah. So I'm now working for 3 organizations. But I'm working with the production company or the producer as an assistant producer. So I'm now taking another step closer to what I kind of want to do, which is, fully produce new musicals and be the massive control freak that I am, and step into my era of being the biggest control freak and getting to manage everything and make all the big decisions. That's what I want to do. I just want to make the decisions.
But I think that's what's really nice about you is I think you're, a lot of people like myself would like be petrified, like pooping myself to do the things that you're doing, where you have such a good outlook on you want to do what's the next thing, and like you always going knowing there's challenges, I think, but then you're quite confident in knowing what, and if it doesn't work then I'll try something else, which I think a lot of us probably should take a bit of that, because if you don't do what you've done, you miss opportunities.
I always say a good opportunity won't pass you by, and if it's not for you, it that's that. And if you go for things and you don't get it, it wasn't meant for you. It wasn't meant for you at the time. So this came up, and it's absolutely terrifying. It's something I don't really know that much about. Like I kind of do, but I also don't, and I feel like I'm definitely at that point. I'm very, very early in it. So I'm definitely at the point now where I'm having that little wobble of like, is this right? I'm really bad. I'm so slow. Like, like we all have those moments, right? And I feel like I am trying to remind myself that I am in a brand new role. I'm learning lots of new things that I have no idea about. And it takes time. But it is, it's hard. It's really hard, and it's really scary. Like, taking steps into things that you just don't really know if you're going to like as well. Like, that's terrifying. But I always think, like, if I don't like it, oh well, I'll just do something else. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I like it so far. It's really different, but yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, so what kind of thing are you doing now? What's kind of your role with the new production?
Yeah, so I work for Tim Johansson Productions, and Tim is great, such a great person, really great producer. He's been producing new musicals and plays and things for years and years and years. And Tim basically found this show called The Season at Beam. Beam is the largest showcase of new musicals in the country. So that's what I work on with my other organisation, the one that I've been with for 2 years. So they're called MMD and MTN. So Mercury Musical Developments and Musical Theatre Network. MMD, MTN. And we travel around the country, and we people come and pitch their musical to us. You can literally just have an idea. And you don't need to be a member, you don't need to have ever written a musical before, but if you have an idea, come and pitch it to us, and we travel around the country. And last year we did it, and we watched about 300 pitches, and after we watch all those pitches, it's not just us, there's like a load of other people that sit on the panel. There's a different panel for every venue, and it's a lot of people. And then we whittle it all down, and we decide on the kind of most exciting new musicals to platform at this 2-day event called Beam. And there's been a couple of Beams since I think it started 2016 was the first one. And at the Beam 2018, there was a musical that was put on called The Season. And it's a really cute show, and it was basically two people in the show, and the idea of the premise of it is there's this kind of goofy English guy, and he flies to New York to meet his dad, and his dad is getting married. He's been invited to his dad's wedding, but he's never met his dad ever, and at the airport he is greeted and welcomed by the bride's sister.
Right.
And then they spent 36 hours in New York. And that's the kind of story. So back then, Tim saw this show. Tim was a producer who came to Beam, and he saw the show and was like, I think this is great. Let's do it. So he picked it up with another company. And at around the same time, Mercury Musical Developments, MMD, we host a year-long opportunity with writers Stalls and Drew. And that is a mentorship program. So it's like a really great opportunity for writers to apply, and they get an entire year of mentorship with Stalls and Drew, who wrote Honk and a huge amount of shows, Soho Cinders, and a load of songs on Mary Poppins. Like, they're kind of like Britain's iconic composers and writers. And so you get a year-long thing on that, and The Season applied just after doing Beam, and they got it. So they then came to do an entire year of stuff with Oz and Stalls and Drew. This is not when I was there. This was back in 2016. Then after that, is this boring?
No.
Are you sure? I was
No.
just like, I could talk about this for ages. I'm obsessed with this show. So
Yes,
tell
yeah.
me to shut up.
No.
Okay, great. So they did the year-long mentorship program, and then after that the show then was taken again. Tim was on it, Tim was producing it, and they got some partners with two different theatres, New Wolsey and Northampton, yes. And then the show got two different productions there, and it went really well, and it was great, and it was wonderful. And then COVID hit, so the show kind of died a slow death for a bit. Was on the irons, and then they decided then to pick it all back up again, and then it got another run at the Kiln in Kilburn in London, and that was over just December gone, so December 23. And it went really, really well. Like, everyone loved it. And they actually changed the title. So it was The Season, and then it changed to a musical called Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York. And so it went really well at the Kiln, and they were like, right, okay, what's next? And again, Tim was on it, and loads of other people came on board then, and it was getting a lot of traction. And then they decided to take it to the West End. So the show opened at the West End, and then now I'm working on it with Tim and a bunch of other people. So many people. It's like a whole village of people.
Really?
It's wild. There's so many people involved. And it is a really, really great show, and it's going really well. It's on the Criterion in the Piccadilly.
Okay.
And we have two fantastic performers doing it every single night, 8 shows a week, and I kind of get to overlook it all and go to marketing meetings and see how it's all doing and kind of helping out where I possibly can and just learning, because it's a different beast being on the producing side in like more of a commercial show that like kind of needs to make money to be able to keep going, as much as I am working a lot in grassroots theatre, so a lot of it just doesn't make any money whatsoever, but it's a huge business, and also it costs so much money to put these shows on because you're funding it, like you're salarying so many different people to keep it going. So I'm working on that at the moment, and it's amazing. It's so great, and the show's so good. You have to go watch it. Well, I'll have to take you. It's great. And then I'm working on that, and then we're also working on new shows. So we've got a couple of things in the pipeline that I'm working on with Tim, and just kind of seeing how we can further develop the art form and further support creatives and composers and like find kind of really cool ideas that I really believe in. So that's what we're doing with Tim, and that's my producing stuff. And then I'm a bit mad, but I decided to like take on my own show. So I have my own show.
First I've heard of this, exclusive.
Yeah, it's happening. So I've got these two amazing writers called Rebecca Simmons and Rob Gathercole, and they are writing a show called The Sesh, and I'm working on it with them at the moment. And so we have our first kind of informal reading of it in a couple of weeks' time, and we've got an amazing cast. And it's like a show that I really believe in. Think like The Hangover mixed with a bunch of kind of Gen Z memes. So it's like act one is they all wake up and they've after a mad night out, a mad party, and they're like, what happened? No one can remember what happened. And then act two is you watch the whole thing happen from the night before. So it's like a party. It's really silly. It's gonna be really fun. And so that's in development to the point where they are writing the songs right now. It's only beginning. So we always say these musicals are taking about 7 years to get from, so say with The Season, it started in 2016 and now we're 2024. So we're saying it kind of takes that amount of time to develop a brand new show. So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, it's a really exciting time for new musicals. Like there's so much happening, and finally the kind of big juggernaut shows like a Les Mis, like a Phantom, whilst they are brilliant, it's really exciting to have new voices being heard and new stories being told and more diversity and just more creativity and music that our ears are used to listening to at the moment, and current stuff. And that's what makes me really excited, that there's shows like Operation Mincemeat, which is on the West End, and Now Two Strangers, and there's a show called Benjamin Button coming, which is stunning. There's a show called Kathy and Stella Solves a Murder, and there's all these really great new musicals, and they're making it the whole way to the West End. So I think it's like we're kind of saying at the moment it is like the golden age of new musicals. This is the new golden age, because there is this thing in art and in sayings that when there's a time of like economic crisis, that art is the thing that gets people through. So for example, after World War II, Cabaret, the show, came out, and that was the thing that, like, it was so dark, but it was the thing that kind of got people through it. And you have all these like fashion, like Dior and all these kind of things, they all really came out once, haute couture went wild after World War II. So it's really interesting that now at the moment where we're having after COVID, and there's, the whole world is burning, we're on fire and it's dreadful, but like if we can just give people 2 or 3 hours of time where they can run into a theatre and feel like they've had time to just completely forget about the world outside, like that is like, for me, that's my goal, is to just cheer people up. It's just my whole thing.
As always.
Yeah, as always. Yeah.
Just dipping back really quickly, when you're talking about your potentially your own new show and you're in the midst of writing it, what gave you that idea? And like, are we talking the years of you've gone through your theatre journey? It's kind of like been in the back of your mind, or was it just a light bulb moment?
No, so actually it's definitely not my idea. I cannot claim this one at all. So I did we set up this retreat last year for female writers. So basically a load of female writers all came in, and we did like a whole week of workshops, and it was great. And so I met all these wonderful writers, and I was delighted to be able to run it and come up with it and whatever. And I met a writer on that retreat, and we got on really, really well. And her name is Rebecca. And then after that, we kept in touch, and then we like went for dinner. She had me over with my partner, and we all had dinner, and we got on really well, and we just became really good friends. And Rebecca a while ago has been selling this idea to me, like, Kate, like, do you remember the sesh? Like, the sesh, like, what about the sesh? Like, this is my new idea. And she's a really great writer, and she's just had some really exciting success with a new show called In Clay that's just happened upstairs at the Gatehouse in London. And yeah, she's just a great person, and so we've kind of kept in touch a lot, and we're good friends now. And she was like, Kate, like, I've got this show, like, what about the show? Do you want it? Like, should we do it we could do it together? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. Like, it's a lot of responsibility. Like, whoa, but I love the idea, and it's a bit of us. Like, we are kind of like, we like a little party, but also like, yeah, just like to laugh. And so, yeah, so she sat me down eventually and was like, Kate, I'm serious now. Like, will you do it with me? And Rob and I was like, okay, let's give it a go for now. And so now we're working on it together. Yeah, but like, I'm not writing it. Oh my god, no, I am absolutely not a writer. No way. I'll organize anything you want. I'll set up all the spreadsheets, and I'm really good at getting a team together. So that's like my thing. So I can get a good team, because I love people, and knowing what I can take the best of different people in and create a good team around them to help them grow and to help them write, because that's not my job. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the set, but it's very early days. So we'll see how that goes. I could like listen back to this in 10 years and be like, lol, that was like a minute of my brain. But I believe in these writers, and I think it could be a really fun idea and really silly. And I think that's what we all need these days, isn't it? We just need to laugh.
What's next for Kate McKeown? I don't know what to do.
Thank you. Did you do that today? Really?
Yeah. Because I don't really know.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm learning. I'm very much at like this learning stage where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like writing budgets, and I'm getting to know loads of new people that I've never met before, and so hopefully I'll get really good at it. I'm hoping that I'll get good at it, and I'll be good at it, and that's kind of where I'd like to be. But you know, like, I do think your job's your job, but there's also real life, and I think there's balance. And you know, I'm getting married next year.
About to say we're getting married. Well, we are, but you're getting married.
Yeah. It's our wedding. Isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You're getting married next year to the lovely Ed.
Yeah, to the lovely Ed.
Who's also a musician.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's such a good musician. He's one of those annoying people that is just so talented and so nice and so wonderful and so smart.
He is.
He's just, he's great. I can't wait. So yeah, so I think like, I don't want to constantly be thinking about work. At the moment, I'm in the work headspace, and I feel like I am one of those people who can prioritize, but I can't seem to do all of it at the same time. So at the moment, I'm in my prioritizing work mode, and I'm sure sometimes I'm in my prioritizing gym mode, and sometimes I'm in my prioritizing wedding mode. But at the moment, I'm definitely trying to grow my career, because I'm 30, which is like such a great age to start something new, and I'm here for it. Like, I'm starting a brand new industry, brand new career when I'm 30, which is it's fine. Like, I'm not worried about it, but I am aware that I'm a lot older going in as like an interny new person. I'm not an intern, but at the same time, sometimes you can feel that way.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I want to like learn quite quickly, see what I'm going to be good at, and then live my best life.
Why not? Do you think, with all the experience that you've had in the theatre industry, do you ever sometimes think, I've got a great idea that I could turn into something, not that you can't necessarily or don't want to, the writing aspect, but you think, I've got a great idea here, I really want to put this forward, and it could be your baby?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope I have something like that. I feel like for every producer, you have to have your own ideas as well. Like like that's a lot of the work is idea generated by producers. I do like to think that I'm quite creative, so maybe it hasn't hit me yet. But I'm so lucky that I get to see so much new stuff. Like I spend so much of my time going to new shows and new work and helping people with feedback, and because I watch so much pitches and stuff, so I feel like the more things I see, the more I'll get ideas or know what I definitely don't want to do. I think it's so much easier to say that I don't like something than I do like it. But yeah, definitely, I want to come up with the next big idea. Yes, please.
Yes,
that would be
please.
Great. Yeah, that would be really nice.
Well, we'll be backing you, no,
thank
regardless.
you. Thanks, yeah.
So remind us again of the name of the show that's currently running, and where can you go and watch it?
So it's called Two Strangers Carry Cake. Oh, I messed it up! Oh. It is called Two Strangers Carry Cake Across New York, and you can go and watch it at the Criterion Theatre in Piccadilly.
Thank you.
Thank
That was
you.
so interesting. Like it's really good to have an insight of what goes on with theatre, and how you have to get to it. And you've worked hard, and I appreciate you coming on and talking to me all about it.
Aww.
And I would definitely come and see the show for sure, without a doubt. Thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.